I've had a funny agreement in my coaching practice for over a decade, and it's called I don't do ghosts. Now, that's nuanced, and I won't get into all of the layers of what I mean by that. But today, I do want to explore one way of being a somatic ghost. Honestly, if your healing has made you calmer, more articulate, more aware, but your body still collapses under pressure, then whatever you're doing, it's not changing your nervous system. It's just helping you leave it. And that's one way of being a somatic ghost. It's an uncomfortable truth behind a lot of spiritualized healing. And once you see it, it's really hard to unsee. People aren't becoming more embodied. They're becoming better at floating just above the body while calling it presence. And that is what I mean today by the somatic ghost. Before we go further, let me be clear about what I'm not saying. Meditation isn't the problem. I love it, I train it. Breath work isn't the problem. I love it, I train it. Spiritual language or orientation, it isn't the problem. I love it, I train it. The issue is when these tools are used to bypass the physiology they're meant to integrate. And this happens far more often than people realize. If you've never actually looked at how your nervous system behaves when pressure shows up, not a quiet room or your meditation cushion, but in real life when it counts, there's a short Somatic Skins Quiz we use that makes these patterns visible really fast. It's not a diagnosis, it's a mirror for how your system avoids load. Okay, so here's the biological failure underneath spiritual bypass. A nervous system changes when it learns that it can stay organized, stay connected, intimate, under conditions that once required escape, dissociation, or control. That learning happens in the body through stress exposure, integration, and recovery. Spiritualized healing often skips that step entirely. Instead of teaching the system how to stay present inside sensation, people will learn how to rise above sensation, observe it, name it, transcend it, reframe it, dissolve it into meaning. And all of that can feel really profound, but none of it requires the nervous system to adapt. So the body never really updates. This is why you'll see people who are incredibly regulated until something actually matters or rubs them the wrong way. They can breathe, observe, soften, and stay spacious right up until conflict enters the room or urgency appears or someone challenges them or real stakes show up. And then the old reactions fire instantly because nothing physiological ever changed. I saw this all the time as a yoga and meditation teacher, where students would come and have the most amazing, connected, present practices. They would talk the talk, walk the walk, and honestly, innocently be sincere in all of that. And then they would walk right outside the studio to bad news on their phone and just lose their shit. That's what I'm talking about. So the somatic ghost is what happens when awareness increases while capacity stays the same. The person learns to hover in insight or a state change while the body remains fragile underneath. They feel peaceful, but only in conditions they can control or curate where pressure is low. They'll feel compassionate for others, but only when nothing uncomfortable is actually being asked of them. And here's the hard part. Spiritual language often rewards this. Detachment is mistaught. It's misunderstood a lot, and it's praised as wisdom. Neutrality is framed as maturity. Not being affected is confused with resilience. But biologically, being unaffected just means that the system has learned how to dissociate politely. Real embodiment is not about being untouched by sensation. It's about being able to stay with sensation without losing organization. That requires structure, it requires breath capacity, and it requires attentional stability, none of which are developed by bypassing load. This is why you'll see that people can talk beautifully about presence, but still freeze in confrontation. Why they'll describe their inner world in poetic detail, but they'll collapse under responsibility or accountability. Why they'll feel calm in spiritual spaces, but overwhelmed everywhere else. The nervous system learned how to escape upward. It never learned how to stay. And staying is the work. Physiological change doesn't come from transcendence. It comes from integration, from teaching the body through lived experience that intensity is survivable, that sensation doesn't require leaving, that pressure doesn't require dissociating. This is why grounding practices alone aren't enough if they're always used to downregulate or downshift. At some point, the nervous system has to learn how to remain coherent while intensity is present. Otherwise, calm becomes a dependency instead of capacity. This is one of the reasons, by the way, that I love practicing, learning, and training martial arts. I started with yoga and I love yoga. I will be a yoga fanatic for life. And it helped me adjust my relationship with myself and the unchanging truths of the universe. However, yoga, at least how we're practicing it in the modern world, while it addresses our relationship with self and deeper truths, what I loved about martial arts, and I began my gateway into jiu-jitsu, and that's expanded since, but I love it because it introduces chaos, pressure, tension, and uncontrolled other people and their bodies. And that really was the playground to realize, these things that we learn in calm, we also need to translate them in chaos. And maybe by also training in chaos, then we can deepen our connection to calm, especially when it matters, because life is volatile. Challenges are going to keep happening. Cultural breakdowns, systemic injustice, it's all here. It's all here, which is why I'm so passionate about training this. This is also why our substrate in Becoming the Grand Formidable, our new released book, insists that architecture precedes awareness. If you don't build the internal structures that can hold pressure, awareness becomes unreliable. Your insight will float. Sensation lies. The system can't always tell signal from noise because everything will feel like too much. This is why inside the prestige, we do not reward dissociation dressed up as spirituality. We work in conditions that apply real, controlled pressure, relationally, physically, attentively, creatively, so that the system can find edges of breakdown and has to stay present instead of leaving the body politely. The goal isn't to become calm in ideal conditions. The goal is to be here, fully behind the eyes, in your body when it matters. If your healing has made you lighter, but not stronger, more spacious, but less grounded, more aware, but easier to overwhelm, you're not embodied yet. You're just very good at being a ghost. And ghosts don't lead. They don't build. They don't create. They don't withstand pressure. Bodies do. If this resonates and you want to train this in real time with us, enter a season of the Prestige. We'd love to have you. You can reach out via the link below in the description. Until next time, thanks for joining me.